Hi, Joe Alton MD here, also known as Dr. Bones of the survival website doomandbloom.net, co-author of the Book Excellence Award winner in medicine, the 4th edition of the Survival Medicine Handbook, and designer of quality medical kits at store.doomandbloom.net. Well, it's getting warm here in sunny Florida, so I thought, another winter video? Well, maybe not. But a recent avalanche claimed 9 victims, and today, another. Plus, an observant skier saw a ski pole and part of a ski sticking up out of the snow and dug out even another and saved a life. So winter is still with us, and one of the many risks of backcountry hiking or skiing is being buried by an avalanche. An avalanche, also called a snowslide, is a mass of snow, ice, and debris sliding rapidly down a mountainside, and is a risk to any winter hiker. Avalanches can achieve significant volume and mass as they travel and cause an average of 28 deaths a year. So it pays to know what to do if you're caught in one. If you're not prepared to deal with issues associated with your environment, you have made it your enemy. Now, avalanches may be caused by simple gravity, a major snowfall, seismic tremors, or human activity. The speed and force of an avalanche may depend on whether the snow is wet or dry. Powder snow avalanches may reach speeds of 190 miles an hour. Wet slides travel slower, but with a great deal more force due to the density of the snowpack. Now, what kills an avalanche victim? You might assume that the main cause of death associated with avalanches is freezing to death. There are other ways, however, more likely to end the life of an avalanche victim. Trauma. Serious injury is not uncommon in a major avalanche, and not just due to the weight of the snow itself. Debris such as rocks, branches, and even entire trees can be carried along in the cascade and cause life-threatening wounds. Suffocation. When buried in the snow, asphyxiation is a major risk. Densely packed snow is like concrete. Many victims may find themselves immobilized and unable to dig themselves out of trouble. And indeed, hypothermia. Hypothermia, or freezing to death, is surprisingly the cause of death of only a small percentage of avalanche victims. It's much more likely that they'll perish due to traumatic injury or suffocation before they freeze to death. Factors involved in deciding your fate include the density of the snowpack, the presence of air pockets for breathing or the lack of them, the position of the body in the snow. If it's not upright, you'll be disoriented, traumatic injury sustained, and the availability of rescue equipment at the scene. On any wilderness outing, it makes sense to go prepared. Appropriately warm clothing for the weather is, of course, a basic concern in winter. Food, water, heat packs, spare dry clothing, and a cell phone are just some of the items that you should take with you if you're attempting a winter hike on the slopes. Most backcountry expeditions are best attempted in a group. That goes for avalanche country as well, but be sure to space yourselves out far enough so that there's not too much weight on any one area of snow. If a member of your party is buried in the snow, you have to act quickly to find them and dig them out. It's unlikely that going for help is going to end in a successful rescue. Therefore, it's especially important to have some specialized items on hand. Besides warm clothing, recommended gear would include an avalanche beacon. This is a device that emits a pulsed radio signal, and everyone in the group should carry one. If a member gets buried in an avalanche, the rest of the party picks up the signal from under the snow, helping to locate the victim. An avalanche shovel. Lightweight, short aluminum shovels that fit inside your backpack and help chop and remove snow and debris on top of a buried hiker. An avalanche probe. Essentially, this is a stick that helps you pinpoint the exact location of avalanche victims and see how far down they are. 6 feet or more in length, you can use the probe to tell a victim under the snow from the ground. Indeed, the victim will feel softer. A helmet. Fatalities occur due to head trauma from rocks and debris flung around by the snow. And skiers' airbags. These brightly colored airbags auto-inflate with the trigger. They work like a life jacket to keep you buoyant and therefore closer to the surface and therefore easier to find. Now, what do you do as the avalanche starts? To survive, quick thinking and rapid action is going to be needed. Yell. Let everyone in your group know that you're in trouble. At the very start of the slide, wave your arms and shout as loud as you can to alert as many people as possible to your location. Move. you may notice a crevice forming in the snow. Jump uphill of it quickly and you might not get carried off. If this isn't an option, run sideways as fast as you can and as far away from the center of the event, which is where the snow will be moving fastest and with the most force. Get lighter. Heavier objects sink in snow, so jettison unnecessary heavy equipment so that you'll be closer to the surface. Throwing off something light isn't a bad idea either. A loose glove or hat on top of the snow could signal rescuers to your general location and save precious time. Deploy your avalanche airbag if you have one. Hug a tree or a rock. If the avalanche is relatively small, you can grab the nearest immobile object and hold on for dear life. And swim. To survive an avalanche, the key is to stay as close to the top of the snow as possible. Increase your surface area by spreading your legs, feet downhill, and raising your hands. While in this position, swing your arms while trying to stay on your back. It's easier to breathe if you're face up. This is similar to swimming backstroke. Meanwhile, try to dig your heels into the snowpack, and with any luck, this strategy will keep you towards the surface of the snow. Now let's say you did your best but got completely buried in the snow. You've got maybe 15 to 30 minutes on average before you suffocate. Snow may be porous, but warm breath melts the snow, which then refreezes as solid ice. This makes breathing difficult. As the avalanche slows, well, the larger the air pocket you have, the longer you'll survive. As the snowslide slows to a stop, put one arm in front of your face in such a fashion as to form a pocket that will give you the most air. If possible, raise the other arm straight up towards the avalanche surface. Your glove might signal your location to rescuers. Expand your chest by inflating deeply so that you have more room to breathe once the snow has settled. Now once you're completely buried, the snowpack may be so dense as to prevent you from moving. Stay calm in order to use up less oxygen. If you're not sure which way is up, spit. The spit will go towards the ground due to gravity. If you can move, work to make a bigger air pocket in the direction of the surface. Now you'll only have a second or two to act to avoid most avalanches. Rapid action and some basic rescue equipment may prevent you from becoming the harsh winter's latest victim. This is Joe Alton, MD, that old Dr. Bones, wishing you the best of health in good times or bad. Thanks for watching. Hey, make sure to get your family medically prepared for troubled times with quality medical kits and supplies from our entire line at store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.